I will call the Budget, Finance, and Investment Committee to order. And on our agenda tonight is to begin work on the proposed 2014-2015 budget. And for those in the audience and then those watching on TV, this is the procedure we will follow. I will ask the department head to join us at the table. Mayor Burgess will give his recommendation, and then I will ask the department head to speak to any details of your budget that you feel is needed or necessary. And then members of the committee will be given a chance to ask questions or have as much discussion as is necessary. And as we have done, and I think several years now, to facilitate things and make things move along a little easier, we will do a voice vote. So if I hear no objections from any member of the committee, we will do a voice vote. If you prefer otherwise, just let me know and we can change that at that time. Now, members of the committee, notice that we have, for the first time this year, our budget on our iPads. I hope you are comfortable with it, but if we need to slow down a little bit, we can do that and learn together. We do have a modified paper copy, if you need to refer to that. We also have a worksheet to help us keep up with any changes that we make tonight on any budget. If no changes are made, it's a good way just to check off and say we've done that budget and that one is complete. So I will try to remind us that we can sort of just keep a running tab with that sheet. Now, to start with, if you will go, please, on your iPads to 101, go to the second folder, and that is the expenditure folder. Looking at our agenda, this is the only thing that is a little bit tricky. To help you navigate on the iPad, notice there is a page number in that far right-hand column. That is the page number that I will be using. But in order to get to that page number, you need to use the bar at the bottom of the page. So if you will please go to page 22. Would you raise your hand when you get there? Are we there? It's a little bit tricky, isn't it? But
the only thing, Laura, I've noticed what I've got on the bar there is 22, but the page number up above.
Okay, that was good.
Doesn't correlate.
Now,
Ignore that
do
one.
not look at the page number in the upper right-hand corner. That is a carryover from the old days when we had our notebooks. Instead, use the sliding bar at the bottom of the page to get to 22.
I didn't make
Yeah, sometimes you have to tap it up.
You guys have to tap it good.
tap it more than once.
Okay. Are we all at page 22? Now that is community learning, but notice it is also account number 5199. So that's another way for you to double check yourself. Look at the account number in the middle column. And it's called Other General Administration. And for us, that's community learning. And so Dr. Payne, will you join us, please? And Dr. Payne, if you'll be patient with us, we're going to use you as our guinea pig. We're going to practice on
Thank you.
We will practice with your budget. Mayor Burgess, your recommendation, please.
Let's see, have we got him on?
I'm
I
on.
think I had it.
Got him already on. Okay, community learning. The recommended appropriation is,
It's right up here.
I see it. I'm using my paper because I've got some highlights and some notes on my paper anyway. $250,940. That's just a few dollars more than their current budget. A couple of $1,000 increase on employee insurance. And you'll notice on all of these budgets, step increases have been recommended. So he really has no change in his budget. It's a continuation budget.
Dr. Payne, any comments?
I agree 100% with Mr. Burgess. I don't see anything different here than I've got here, so that makes me feel good.
Members of the committee?
I just have one question. We didn't talk about the pay increases last week, and this is a question that'll apply to all the departments. Can you tell us a little bit about the step increases?
It is in the mayor's recommendation to go to the next step. As with all our other budgets, department heads worked with Ms. Stevenson's office to see if there's any adjustments that needed to happen, and you'll see one tonight that they got that I didn't get, so we have to make a change to one of the budgets. If you remember, but anyway, that has already happened, and that is in the mayor's recommendation.
Does it amount to a particular percent? Like, it's not the same thing as a 1% across the board increase. It's a step, which
It's a
is
step.
different than
and
that.
Yeah, it's a step, and it's about
175?
well, no, it's half of three and a half, 1.75, 1.75,
1.75, okay.
So,
around there.
Since this applies to all the departments, maybe before our next meeting, could we get another printout of those steps and see exactly what it looks like?
Yeah.
And
Sure.
where we are on it?
You
and
wanna
how it-
see another, I mean, depending on where people are and what they move, they move up to the next step. But if somebody has come into employment during this fiscal year or have had, increases by moving positions, then they may not get a increase come July 1.
Personally, I'd like to just have the ability when we get toward the end to have a number without the step total and a number with the step, because if we're short on school system as we appear we might be, we may end up having to lose step. And I'm not saying that's what we want to do, but that's an option.
Well,
And we can look at them all the same, but as long as we have the ability at the end to say, well, if we have to pull the step out, then this is a number. If I look at them all exactly alike, in my opinion, then make that decision at that point in time.
Interestingly enough, I mean, in the first rotations, which may not have changes of employees, the decrease that we had because of the retirement rate went down.
Mhm.
The amount that the retirement rate went down pretty much covered the salaries that went up. So,
Yeah, but the steps are still costing money, so I mean,
yes.
I don't know where we're gonna end up at the end when it comes to the tax rate, but if we have to find a couple of cents, we've gotta have every option out there there is, and it could be the steps. I'm not saying I wanna take the employees' steps away, but we've got to at least have the ability to know what it is.
Okay.
I think Commissioner Jordan's suggestion is a good one. The only way I'd revise it is I'd like to see a little bit about this at our next meeting so that we're not waiting until the very, very end to begin thinking about this. Doesn't mean we're going to make a decision at our next meeting about it, but I'd like to go ahead and have that meeting earlier in the process.
I don't think we'll have all the information to make that decision till the very end personally, but I don't think I'm ready to say at the next meeting, yes, I'm for the step, or no, I'm against it. I'm gonna wanna know what the school board's ending fund balance is and everything else, so we see exactly how much money we've gotta come up with.
No, I'm not suggesting we make a decision on the steps at the next meeting. I just am suggesting we get some additional information about it at the next meeting so we can begin thinking about it.
It'll be a lot less money than you think, but
Well,
anyway, for the steps.
That's one of the first things I did know, and know that it's the first thing when I'm working on budgets is trying to adjust where people are and just what change did it make from the original budget to add everybody a step. Now, that is before I got information from Ms. Stevenson, and that added about 275,000. The decrease in longevity, the additional step for longevity was 22,600.
Of course,
Those
we're
two.
just talking about
I know,
general
I'm talking about
fund.
general-
Yeah,
just
general
general
And the
fund.
school system's gonna do what they're gonna do.
They're gonna have their step increases,
Yeah.
period.
Right.
Period.
We won't have any control over that.
And I hate to pull 20% of our employees out or something and beat them over the head, but all I'm saying is we need to have all our options available to see wherever there's
I
money
mean,
we
I'll
can find, you know.
refine this, but it'll be in the neighborhood, it'll be a little more than what I'm telling you. But those two items is about $300,000 on that initial, and then on the initial reduction of the retirement rate, it reduced by 258,000.
So the step increases plus the longevity is 300,000 plus or minus.
But the reduction in retirement rate was a reduction down of 258.
I know, but
But that's beside the point.
That's beside
That
the-
reduction
yeah.
is a reduction regardless.
That's
Yes.
You might.
I just thought it was interesting, it one pretty much kind of offset the other.
Commissioner Peete.
Well, I just wanted to chime in on this. I agree with Will. We need all the options out there, so I want to be able to look at this later, but Charlie's got I also agree with him. I'd like to get a review of this, mainly because I know what the sheriff's department is asking to do from public safety is changed back to the old way, so, you know, I think a review for all of us is probably gonna be good, because we're gonna be facing that when his budget comes through.
Okay, you've made a
Okay.
note of that.
And say again a little more on the retirement, the reduction of what the county puts into it is less than it used to be.
It's, the rate has gone down.
Then, okay. Does that mean the employees are anywhere are gonna pay anything or pay more?
No.
It's just gonna be less going into it. Okay.
Besides that, I'll make a motion to approve this budget as recommended by the mayor.
Thank you,
Second.
Commissioner Jordan, and seconded by Commissioner Schaefer. Any discussion?
May they all be this.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Did I do okay?
You did good.
Thank you.
No candy though.
Okay, gentlemen, now you remember our worksheet that we have? If you would like to find page 22 and go across.
Page 4.
Pardon me.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, I'm sorry.
Our
I'm sorry.
worksheet now for community
I'm
living.
jumping ahead.
There were no changes there, so you could, later on, we may have to have some notation, but for this one, we did not need a notation. Okay, Mayor Burgess, we need now to go to page 4,
Okay, that's the county
and that's the
commission.
county commission.
County commission budget.
Did you want one?
Okay, well, $247,070 is the recommendation. And really, there's not any increase there in anything except there is a $1,200 increase under other contracted services. A well-deserved recommendation on behalf of Ms. Becky Shelton.
Can I ask for a refresher? Did we put more money in this fund last year for various and sundry other things? Is that what?
On the county commission?
Yeah, is that what's the,
No, I mean, that's the only thing that has changed is
Well-
other contracted.
She used to
Last,
be.
the amended budget on board and committee member fees was more this current than it was the previous year. I mean, I don't know what, we went from 83,000 to 107,000.
I think we added.
We started paying the insurance committee, but that's not that much money.
No, that's 20,000.
Well,
I'll have to go back to
we had a
that.
question of how many meetings were gonna be held on some of the committees.
The budget would be the only one really that might be,
Didn't we budget an extra full commission meeting for something?
I think we did
just in
because.
case?
Of course, if we
No,
don't have it, we don't
no,
spend it.
this
but-
107, what you're looking at is the prior year actual,
yeah.
not what was budgeted.
Oh, okay.
This budget has pretty much remained the same for several years.
So it may, it
We
may say that we're
do have
budgeting more than.
factored
Well,
in.
from 12 to 13, it went from 83,
That was,
5 to
that
107.
was actually
Actual to
spent.
budgets, what she's saying
Well,
though.
actual to amended. but-
Yeah.
But we've had this 107, 100 number
I
for
think we've
a
had
lot of years.
we've had the ability for
But
an
we didn't
additional
spend
meeting or
it. We
two
didn't spend
that
it.
we've
We
not
didn't spend
spent
it.
previously.
Okay.
And you can see this year, we're not on pace to spend the full
Right.
amount either.
No,
Right.
no, sir.
Well, we've all agreed if we don't need the meetings, we don't have them.
Right. There's there's the 81,900, that's the number for the commission meeting, and there's 13 meetings scheduled. And then the various meetings, there's
Other
estimates.
committees, yeah.
Like steering, we've got 15 meetings scheduled. You won't do.
You mean
purchase-
budgeted, don't you?
Yeah.
Budgeted, yeah.
Not scheduled, but budgeted.
Budgeted.
Just in
Budgeted,
case,
Sorry,
yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
And so for a
Okay.
lot of those, we've got 15 budgeted, but you don't use them. But they're there just in case, and you don't have to go back and amend money into it.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the mayor's recommendation.
Thank you, Commissioner Schaefer.
Second?
Seconded by Commissioner Baum. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Mr. Mitchell. Gentlemen, we need to be on page 6.
Good
And
evening,
This is
everybody.
a Board of Equalization. Mr. Mitchell, thank you for joining us. And Mayor Burgess, your recommendation, please?
Okay, well, the recommendation, as you see there, is $20,930. Really, it's $3,000 increase for consultants, and Mr. Mitchell has suggested he needs some additional money, potentially for unforeseen appeals after reappraisal, so we've added $3,000 more. That's really all we have here. So the recommendation is for $20,930.
Mr. Mitchell, your comments?
I concur.
You asked for 15,000 in consultants, and he's giving you 5. Do you feel like you can get by with that? I would hope so.
We're hoping so. It's so far, everything's going very, very smoothly.
Have your commercial people started calling you yet?
Oh, they started calling
6 months ago.
6 months ago. It's-
Uh-huh.
The Board of Equalization can do a lot, but you and your staff can also do a lot by just working with people when they come in without having to actually get to the Board of Equalization. I appreciate your open door policy that I believe you have, and I've heard you have in working with people. With that, I'll make a motion to approve the budget as recommended by the mayor.
I'll second.
Commissioner Jordan, seconded by Commissioner P.
Question.
Commissioner
Is
Schaefer?
is it better if he needs more, say there's more people that file an appeal? Is it better to take it then from the unassigned fund balance, or is it better to have it in the budget and not use it?
If we're talking about a small amount of money, it's better to not put it in the budget now. Every penny you put in this budget now, you have to appropriate money for it.
Okay. You answered my question very well.
Any further discussion relative to the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Now, gentlemen, we do have to move now to page 29. And this is the assessor's portion of the budget. Mayor Burgess?
Okay, this is the property assessor's piece, and we'll have the reappraisal piece next. But in the event, we're recommending, I am, $1,420,855. You can see that's about $30,000 less than the amended budget for this particular year. I'll just point out, well, one thing, under line item 399 for other contracted services, we didn't have any money in that particular line item this current year, but we've got $40,000 in there. And there is a probable need for some personal property audits that we'll have to use an outside firm to do that. So that's the reason we've included that $40,000. Now, past that particular entry, there are really not any other substantial changes. I'll just see if there's anything else of note. A little bit more on travel, a little less on office supplies. Data processing equipment is a substantial decrease, $55,000 in that. I think we have some data processing equipment maybe in the reappraisal, I'm not sure, but so all those things sort of net together and you see a decrease, but with the increase in the personal property audit and the decrease in the data processing equipment, we still have a net decrease of about $40,000.
I'm looking at data processing supplies, and actual to date this year's 10 months is $343, but there's $20,500 in the previous budget and $20,500 in this budget. I mean, are we fixing to spend $20,200 in the next 2 months? Do we need that much again next year? I mean, that looks like a very short amount spent. Need that much, and like travel, actual is $338 is spent so far this year, and there's $10,000 in the budget, and he had requested $25,000. So, I mean, if we've only spent $338, why do we need that much
He
money?
can address the data processing supplies. That's some money we're carrying over because we haven't done this.
We haven't upgraded.
We're up-
Got a project
We've
still
been-
in the works that
This
hasn't come through
project
yet.
still hasn't come to fruition.
So we just put it here, we let it go back in any fund balance and appropriate again. We
Yes.
can do
Yeah.
Same difference.
Same
Okay.
difference there.
Okay.
That 20,500, we just need to leave it there because they at some point are gonna have to spend that money. We just haven't spent it this year.
And then the travel.
Travel, that's when we had an intern, we lost our personal property auditor.
Mhm.
We anticipate hiring one. So since we'll only have them for part of the year, that's what the other contracted services was, the company that we had to contract to do our personal property audits for us. That money is actually in the budget in the event that they should be required to travel to an out-of-state company to do on-site audits, to audit their books. So if it's not used, it just goes back into the budget. But that's why it's less than it was the year before.
But it goes back to what, the answer of Commissioner Schaefer a while ago. If it's in the budget, we've got to appropriate a
Yeah,
tax
that's
rate that
reason-
funds it, you know.
That's reason at 25, I've recommended 10.
Mr. Mitchell, you get 34 people assigned. How many slots are filled in your department?
We currently have 31 slots filled. That's off the top of my head, I believe that's correct.
Okay, and you're gonna hire one for an audit person.
Right.
And you've got, are your new systems all up and running that you were looking into getting? I mean, the mapping systems, the aerials, et cetera?
Yes, those are in.
Okay. All right, here's my question. Since it's better to not have it in the budget because you gotta have a way to fund it, what's about reducing one of those 34 people to make it 33? It still leaves you two more than what you have, which one's for the audit, and that leaves somebody there for unforeseen emergencies.
Now, if you do that, you lose a certain flexibility with scheduling because I've put together a 15-year plan on the needs of the department. And currently, the positions we have will hold steady until we reach 150,000 parcels. Right now, we're at about 112,000 parcels in the county. So by keeping those positions open and reassigning people to different positions, because some of those positions are at different pay scales, it allows us the ability to shift people properly into positions and pay them what they need based upon the needs of the department. If we were to take away those positions or eliminate them, that would eliminate the flexibility to move people in the department to the appropriate sections.
Sounded like a good answer, but I'm still not completely convinced. I'll leave it at that.
Gentlemen, you have heard the mayor's recommendation. Any further discussion? We need a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Bond.
You didn't have anywhere to be for long, did you?
And we have a motion, now we need a second, gentlemen.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any further discussion relative to this motion? Commissioner P.
Well, what you were talking about, I can understand the other contracted services and having that open as needed and it going back into the line items or back into the county general's fund if it's not used. But I haven't seen your 15-year plan, so that's part of it maybe. It sounds like I need to come by and have a cup of coffee and see what you're doing, so.
Now, we've been working hard the last 2 years to get that mapped out, as well as our department HR manual.
But are you saying with the people he was talking about, are you saying you're not actually planning on filling those right now until you get to the 150 parcel level? Or are you keeping those
I don't
open where you can move them around?
To move I'm keeping them open to move them around, because if I bring someone in as we have a need or a vacancy, I may not bring somebody in at the level that we're replacing, because I'll have positions that may be open for an appraiser 2, but I may fill it with an appraiser 1 Most likely, I'll fill it with a new position that we created, which is an appraiser generalist, which is someone that's cross-trained between several departments, so that we don't have people that are just locked into only working in personal property, or they're just locked into working in commercial, or locked into being an administrative person.
So basically, the way I'm understanding it is you're just leaving yourself some options on how you can juggle these people around. You're not actually gonna fill all those positions right now until
Right.
you get closer to the 150 mark.
Right. As we get closer to the 150, and if we have an opportunity to bring somebody in, if we need them, then we would see about opening up that position. Currently, I have no immediate plans to fill those, with the exception of the personal property auditor.
Okay.
And he's on record saying doesn't need any more new positions until he reaches 150,000 parcels.
Absolutely.
That's part of the official record, and that's 40% or something of a more increase, so that should be several years, so we've got a lock on that.
Gentlemen, we do have a motion and a second.
On these vehicles.
Any further discussion?
It's out.
Commissioner Salmon, we're doing voice votes unless is someone that requests otherwise. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have one opposition, Commissioner Schaefer. Commissioner Sandlin, have you figured out where we are at this point? Good. Okay, now we're ready for the reappraisal budget, and you need to be on page 31. Mayor Burgess, the reappraisal
It's not that
budget.
number, it's the number up there.
Okay, on the reappraisal budget, the recommendation is $1,136,590. Now, I'll make a few little notes. You'll see in this one in particular, there's an increase substantially in the employee independent insurance, so you'll notice that every time. Most of them are up some. There are some decreases here. Let me see. Other contracted services is decreased from 52,000 to 30,000. There's an increase in data processing equipment from 54 to 85 that sort of offsets that one. Other than that, and then he did request a vehicle, and I have chosen not to recommend that additional vehicle. He does have a grant application moving forward, and he may want to explain that a bit better than I can for sure. But that's a recommendation. There's no changes in the personnel, et cetera, except, as you've already discussed, the step increases with the other departments.
The city's Rover bus routes are getting better all the time. These guys could ride them easily, I would think. It'd work for in town.
Mr. Mitchell, do you have any comments on the reappraisal portion of the budget?
No, ma'am, I concur with it.
What is the data processing equipment? That's about 30,000 increase. What are
We had 2 large format printers that failed on us that we hadn't anticipated. They died. We tried to get them replaced. Hewlett Packard won't work on them anymore. We tried internally with our people in OIT to see if they could find some way to work around it, but HP just is not servicing them at all. They want to get them out of there, so they're not even telling anybody how to work on them. They just want them gone, so they're essentially dead.
in the data processing services? That's, and you concur with that one?
Yeah, right, that's fine.
Okay.
We had some of the cost for the data processing equipment when we originally put it. I think I had some of them over maybe in the service section. We were doing some consolidating down. We did have several different services that were spread among different line items that we were taking them out of and using them, and I just tried to coordinate them into as few as I could.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve the mayor's recommendation.
Thank you, Commissioner Peak.
Second motion.
Seconded by Commissioner Schaefer. Any further discussion?
Sandlin.
Sandlin.
Improved our system. New and improved.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Mitchell, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'll give you a circle.
Gentlemen, if you will locate page 7. This is the county mayor's portion of the budget. Mayor Burgess.
Okay, the recommendation is $539,717. Now, you'll notice under the amended budget, some items over there that, for example, land has been replaced in there, an amendment for $650,000 for the potential purchase of the D&J property and some associated costs with doing that. So we really didn't spend $1,245,000 this year. It's about $600,000. So this budget that I'm recommended is some decrease in particular line item 161 is a reduction in basically one position, in that we now have in our clerical assistance number there, that is decreased from 3 to 2. So that's about the only real substantial change you'll see here. We've reduced that. And other contracted services, at least I don't know what 399. We moved some things around from time to time.
That was when we did the update of the judicial plan.
That's when we updated the consulting report.
Right.
So we had to amend that money into that. And we took it out of other, I don't know where we took it from, but you can see our other charges, which started $599, which started at $50,000. We amended that down, so we moved some money around there, but this is a decrease of at least $25,000 plus the attendant benefits that go with that one position.
You've heard the mayor's recommendation.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Commissioner P., thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Jordan. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. That motion carries. Human Resources. Mrs. Stevens. Good evening. Good evening. Mayor Burgess, your recommendation, we need to be on page 9, gentlemen.
This is a recommendation for $268,099, a reduction of $177 in Ms. Stevenson's budget. You can review her budget, but you can see it's very, very much a continuation budget with no increases of any significance, and she's managed to, even with the insurance increase, she's managed to make some other reductions, and so her budget is a tiny bit less this particular year.
Your evaluation and testing, is that on new hires, or what is that?
It's on new hires. It's also for our law enforcement agencies. Well, it's for new hires. It's random drug testing for part of our drug-free workplace. It is the background checks for new hires. And legislation, federal legislation has made us have to do, they call it a PREATS, Prison Rape Elimination Act. And there's certain requirements that go along with that. I believe you guys call that an unfunded mandate. So those are some of the drug testings that we have to do for that, TB testing, Hep B, and all those type things. So we do reduce it because the money that we had put in there the first couple of years, we just wanted to make sure that we had enough. And so as we get our trends in place, we're able to reduce. So.
I'll make a motion to approve, Madam Chairman.
Commissioner Sandlin, thank you.
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner P. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, that motion carries.
Thank you.
County Attorney, Mr. Coe. And gentlemen, we should be on page 11. Mayor Burgess, your recommendation, please.
Okay, well, we're recommending $262,976, and that's basically no change in this budget. I do want to reserve the right, with your permission, that we might need to revisit this budget. We have not had a very detailed discussion with Mr. Cope and his team. That's scheduled for Thursday, but in any event, he tells me that there won't be any remarkable requests for any change, and maybe none, but I don't want to us to assume that we might not have some slight change. So you can hopefully accept this recommendation, subject to a revisit if we see a need for that.
Mr. Coe, your comments?
I think the mayor summed it up very well.
I think there's a chance it might be lower, Jim.
If I was a betting man, probably not, but I don't know. I haven't talked to the mayor, so we'll just see.
Madam Chairman, I don't have a problem with the budget. I'm just wondering when we're going to have county attorney separate from the contract, I guess we have right now. When are we doing that? It's kind of been on the
Well,
table, off the
I'm not sure
table, and
whether
then.
you're going to do that or not. I mean, we're going to have a little bit of discussion between us about that. I'm not at this moment in time thinking we have an opportunity or a need to do that at this moment, but you are going to have to decide if you want to extend the current contract, because it does expire June the 30th of this year. But we'll bring that thought process back to steering as well.
This budget page does suggest that the cost for general legal services is holding relatively constant, hasn't gone up much the last 2 or 3 years. In fact, it's gone down $150,000 since 2 years ago.
You're not gonna create a whole department for $262,000. You have to have benefits and
I
start off
understand
with
that.
one attorney, then you need 2 attorneys, and you need a couple of paralegals and a secretary.
Well, I understand that,
Yeah.
but we decided as a commission that the 21 in there is a total, that's what we were gonna do. And
I
then
never ever
we-
decided
I
that.
beg to differ on that,
No, we
Commissioner,
didn't decide
because
that.
the last year, I have the mayor's comments from this last budget year, in the last year, which was in this intervening year, in which the mayor clearly stated to this committee that was off the table as far as he was concerned. I mean, that was his comment. Now, it's your decision, you're the 21 commissioners, but there was never any indication after the last reelection that you were gonna revisit this, and certainly the mayor reaffirmed that last year.
Mhm.
So, if you just read your minutes, you'll see that.
Well, I think last year, there was a breakdown of communication between y'all two as far as when the budget was coming, y'all didn't get together, we
It's
brought
been
it.
a couple, 3 years
No,
ago.
that's been 2 years
That
ago
was-
back.
that
Yeah,
was 2
that's-
years ago.
How
that was-
time flies when you're having fun. you know,
Absolutely.
so.
Yeah, we
Absolutely.
revisited and amended the contract and extended it 2 years.
This will be the 3rd year of this lower rate. It'll be the 3rd year in a row of it. I consider it to be a bargain.
I understand that, but this 262 is not the total number. We've got an additional, every time we go to court, there's a separate.
You are billed for litigation
Yes.
services to the
Yes.
extent you have that.
If
But
this-
an
this is
in-house
the-
attorney would not have been a litigator
Yeah,
anyway.
you're not
This is
gonna
the
be-
house team.
This is
right?
in-service, the in-house services.
This covers all
General
your-
services.
Well, I guess constituents or commissioners are not all in tune with, that's not the total dollar. That's what I'm saying. It's just, every time we go to court, or that's something that you don't do, then there's a outside attorney firm or something that's additional
Well-
that comes in to any time we need.
Well, we use their firm
Assistance.
predominantly, but
Yeah.
occasionally we have to use other firms as well.
Right, right.
I'm looking back at the HR department, and I'm not trying to pick on Ms. Stevenson here, but when I was first elected, we started the HR department, and we had one person, and the office was in a broom closet down the hall, and the budget was like $35,000. Now, here we are 12 years later, we've got $268,000 in our budget. It's a needed budget. We couldn't operate like we did 12 years ago with no HR department. The county mayor was the HR department up until 2002, but that just shows you, if you were to start off with a legal department, I know the city spends millions in their legal department. They've got, I think, 3 attorneys and 4 or 5 staff
Far more
personnel.
than that.
Five, I
Yeah.
think.
5 attorneys.
5 attorneys.
Plus
yeah.
staff,
Yeah.
plus all the overhead that goes with it.
I'll share a personal example. I was in Metro Nashville about 6 months ago and just happened to be in that building, and it looked like on their phone list to get in with office numbers that they had 30 or 40 or 50 lawyers. Now, I know Metro Nashville's bigger than Rutherford County,
But not 30 or 40 times bigger.
but compare $262,000 to paying for 40 lawyers plus staff.
Mhm.
This is our effort to hold the size of government down and control bureaucracy.
make a motion to approve the budget as presented.
Commissioner Jordan?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Schaefer. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Mr.
Thank you
Copeland.
all. See you later.
The Election Commission,
Should've seen her eyes, I said, I ain't talking about HR.
Hello.
gentlemen, page 12. And Mayor Burgess, your recommendation, please.
Okay, the recommendation on the election commission is $863,048. Now, that's a substantial reduction, but I want you to just point you to, first of all, to line item 709, the data processing equipment. We've only got $20,000 in there this year. Last year, we received a substantial amount of money from someone else to help us buy equipment, right? So that's the reason that we're down $360,000 there, but we are down really $310,000, most of which is that reduction in that data processing equipment. The election workers, moving back up to line item 193, I'm recommending $200,000. She asked for $260,000. This year we had just $160,000, but I think we may have agreed that $200,000 is a reasonable number for us to try to have enough of this go round. So anyway, past those changes, there's $10,000 more in health insurance, but you can take note of those from time to time. But everything else is pretty much the same as we currently have.
Mm-hmm. And if you recall, just to remind you all, our budget years kind of fluctuate up and down every other year because of this fiscal year that we're in currently. We have the two smaller elections, that being the City of Murfreesboro election and the primary election, which are our two smaller elections. And then next fiscal year, the budget that you're looking to approve this evening will encompass our two larger elections, that being the August County General, Federal and State primary, as well as the November general election. So that's part of the reason. And most of that is labor costs because of the increased number of poll workers that we have to have, the increased number of voting machines that we have to have programmed, and so on. So that's the primary reasons that our budget fluctuates every other year. But other than that, we concur with the mayor's recommendation.
How was the recent decision by Murfreesboro City to hold their elections concurrent with us? How's that going to affect your budget in the future?
It really should not affect our budget in the future. I mean, the dollar amount, what we ask for, it will affect that possibly, but the city reimburses penny for penny the cost of the city election. So that was always reflected on our income statement.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Commissioner
Madam Chairman.
Sandlin, thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Bob. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Can I ask a question, and I think this is, do we have a figure yet how much this local primary costs?
No, not for the primary.
Do you know when we will have a figure, or is that her, finance is gonna have the figure?
No, we'll have a figure ultimately, but I mean, well, actually, we really don't have a need to total that up specifically because no one reimburses us for that election. The
Yeah.
only elections that we get reimbursed for were the City of Murfreesboro election and the presidential preference primary election, which occurs every 4 years on presidential years, is reimbursed 100% by the state. So those are the only two elections that we typically actually break down and try to tally what the overall cost was. Otherwise, it's just busy work.
I think it'd be a good number to have if it was just a ballpark. So
we
the
can
different
ballpark.
parties
We
would.
can ballpark it at $100,000 is what it's been in the past. That's our ballpark figure for a countywide election.
We just need to have that number for different parties to think about that.
Right.
When they're deciding whether the caucus, whether they have a primary.
Well, what I'm thinking, why I ask is, in the future, if there was, 15,075 votes? And if it costs 100,000, is that?
$6.50 a vote.
And 50 cents a vote?
But what's your vote worth?
Well, I guess Chicago, they pay more for it, so.
No comment.
Thank
Thank you.
Gentlemen, Register of Deeds, page 14 is where we need to be. Ms.
Did we vote on
Dalbarn.
last one?
Do we vote on this?
Ms. Dalbarn is joining us. We need to make a correction, so we get an excuse to use our worksheet. Before you give your recommendation, Mayor Burgess, our finance director, is going to give us a corrected number to put in that final column.
Right, the rest of her employees are going to move from a monthly payroll to a bi-weekly payroll, so to add in that extra day for those employees, it's gonna add, 1,121 to the bottom line. The total would be 1,080,012. $1,080,012.
Mayor Burgess, your recommendation on the register of deeds.
Okay, this is 1,078,000, oh, excuse me, whatever Ms.
1,000,000.
Ms. Nolan just said, $1,080,012. There are not very many changes here. As you can see, she's reduced her part-time personnel by 10,000. We're up a little bit more in deputies, but that sort of offsets one another. We come all the way down really to 709 data processing equipment, which she has a fund that takes care of paying for that anyway, which that was 82,000. So her reduction of about $60,000 is largely because she's not needing to buy again apparently this year more data processing equipment.
server last year.
So she bought a new server, so that's down 5,000, but in any event, she's got a good budget that basically is a continuation budget.
Ms. Dalbarn, any comments from you about your budget?
No, I concur.
How are they on the employees on the raises thing? Are they on her raise schedule now, or are they back onto the county, or vice versa?
Merit pay base evaluations.
I'm sorry?
Merit pay base evaluations.
They're on your plan then,
Right.
not the county's plan. What's the
It's-
difference in that?
Well,
I don't know. It's
I mean,
close.
it's in the range. I mean, I don't think
They're
it's much
close.
deviation actually in what she's paying.
No, it's not. But
With the other clerks, I mean, it's,
But this isn't all the same percentage like it would be on the county plan necessarily.
We've been doing a lot of cross-training, and several of the deputies have been promoted based on the cross-training that they've received. So that would be the difference, and we've evaluated them. So it's not just a certain percentage for everybody across the board. It's based on performance evaluation. But
Commissioner
it
Vaughn,
is in line with
Did you
what-
have a question or comment?
I'll make a motion to approve the budget for the register of deeds with the mayor's recommendation.
Commissioner Schaefer, thank
And
you.
the change.
And the changes.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Vaughn.
1,080,012.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Demasi and Mr. Hill, Planning and Engineering, gentlemen, page 16. Mayor Burgess, your recommendation, please.
and the recommendation is $704,440. You can note a few changes. Of course, Mr. Hill is our newest engineer, so the line item there appears to be a reduction, which it is, because he doesn't have nearly the length of service that our previous engineer had. There are increases again for step increases. There are increases, I believe, for insurances. Let's see. There are not many other increases. There's no number for data processing equipment. So you got a net change of $18,000 decrease, and there are just routine changes that happened because of a few personnel changes.
That's because he was
Mhm.
And the Suburban didn't even make the list this time. There's been a car on the list for years, it's never gotten bought, we always mark it off.
But in fact, and also we reduced in-service training. I didn't point that out. There's less dollars there, I believe. Did you do that? Or did we make?
That was from that was for the AutoCAD training.
Oh,
from
okay,
last
that was
year.
that one time.
That got transferred into that, so.
I got you. So that was an amendment we made.
I was gonna say, y'all have some required training that you have to
Yeah.
do.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that was the one-time
We're
expense.
still covered on that.
Yes, sir.
Motion to approve as presented.
Commissioner Jordan, thank you.
Second motion.
Seconded by Commissioner Sandlin. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, gentlemen. And now we need to go to page 97. And this is the portion of the budget that is stormwater. Page 97.
And the recommendation on stormwater is $10,000 less than current year amended budget, $206,795. Again, there's a little less cost there on line 103, since we do have a new stormwater person that doesn't have the years of experience that the previous person had. But past that, there's really nominal changes. And no data processing equipment. So it's routine continuation request.
Mr. DeMasi or Mr. Hill, any comments about this portion of the budget?
Motion to approve, Madam Chairman.
Commissioner Sandlin, thank you. Gentlemen, we have a motion. We need a second, Commissioner Jordan. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
One abstain, Commissioner
Ain't
Shaper.
gotten through it yet.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, if we can back up, please, to page 18, and if I remember correctly, this is environmental. This is just our state office where we pay for phones, is that correct?
Yes. So that's just $600. That hasn't changed from the current budget.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Jordan, seconded by Commissioner Sandlin. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Mankin, county buildings, page 20.
Okay.
Mayor Burgess, your recommendation.
County buildings
please.
is $2,048,522, which is about a $150,000 increase. We've amended some money in the building improvements. You're seeing $285,000, but we've only got $100,000 in this year's budget, so that's a significant reduction. We can go back up to the beginning up there. We've have one additional person. We've sort of moved from one line item. Let's see, Lisa, 103 is a position that, I'm not sure which item we have.
103
Was in
167.
167, so we just sort of rearranged that. And this will be the first budget you're going to see that I've requested and recommended one additional person. And this person is in a grade classification that we don't know precisely how we're going to, this is going to have to be a multifaceted person, but maintenance technician, grounds manager, painting, all of those kinds of things, but we don't know exactly. But we do know that our building maintenance department is understaffed. I mean, we believe it is, and we're asking you to give us, that's about a $30,000 a year position. It's not a supervisory position, but it is a maintenance technician level that we'll use in some way to effectively continue to improve the overall support that we're getting. Now, past that, utilities, we've projected a decrease, and I hope we can do that, of $25,000. Other supplies and materials up $10,000. The building improvements are substantially down. We're not, don't have any major projects in particular mind, but we will have needs, and we may even have needs to increase that number. We don't know and can't predict everything that might not function properly the whole year. And we're reducing the request for any maintenance equipment from 30,000 to 10,000. So the
What's-
net effect of all of this is $150,000 less or thereabouts.
What's the $4,000 on 355? Why that
The travel.
change, yes, sir?
Okay, Miss.
Looks like we're coming
355.
pretty
travel.
short every time.
But it's in-service training. There's some additional training in there for getting skills and certifications as well as just the travel, okay? Some classes and things that will upgrade the.
It's more classes than
the
travel.
abilities of some of our people.
Your guys don't just paint them, they do the HVAC work and everything else, do they not?
Yeah.
So they've got to be certified to handle the Freon and things like that.
Correct.
How many people are in your department?
Maintenance, on the maintenance end of it, there is me, the assistant director, and a maintenance, like a lead
Mhm.
man, and 3 other guys. And then we have 4 part-time landscapers, and then we've got a part-time painter.
So 6 people total with 4 part-time landscapers and 4 part-time painters.
No, 1 part-time painter.
Oh, 1 part-time.
Yeah, he's got himself and 5 other full-time people, and he's got a smaller number of part-time.
Got a huge job. We keep adding facilities like the Lane Acre Park and things and stuff. And if we had to go out and call in a crew contractor to do everything, it costs us a fortune. So
Mhm.
I appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
The building that we bought for the sheriff, does the sheriff take care of everything there?
Yes.
So you got a reduction around 150,000?
With a new vehicle.
With the new person.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna make a motion to approve the budget, mayor's recommendation.
Commissioner P., thank you.
Second motion.
Seconded by Commissioner Sandlin. Any further discussion or questions for Mr. Mencken? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Opposed? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Lodell, Archives and Gentlemen, page 23. Mayor Burgess?
Okay, the budget recommendation is $120,534, and you've heard me say this before, this is a very, very efficient operation there, and so, I mean, the only increase you see here is a small increase in the insurance that we have there, but otherwise, it's a very, very frugal, efficient budget.
Mr. Lodell, comments?
I agree with the mayor. The only increases were out of my control. And $599, as a reminder, is my two MTSU students. We haven't increased that line item in 4 years, and despite tuition going up, so we decided we better, or else it's going to be under this year if I don't raise it just a hair. So I totally agree with the mayor.
Good budget. Make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Sandlin, thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Baum. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Mr. Lodell. Gentlemen, if you will turn to page 25. And Ms. Stinson, will you join us for risk management? Mayor Burgess, your recommendation, please.
Okay, the recommendation is $1,139,920. You will note, and Ms. Stinson will take note, and she may have something she wants to say, but there was a request for an additional staff member there, and I've not recommended that. And let's see, past that particular change, she's, the only other thing of real note would be this 506 liability insurance, and Ms. Nolan and Ms. Stinson can address that, but that number is substantially less than the current amended budget this year, so, so they can confirm or give us more input there if we need to. And the corporate surety, I mean, this is a request that we're going to, with all the new elected officials, we'll have to purchase those surety bonds, and this is the cost for doing that $40,000. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
If you look at 506, the liability insurance on actual, what we paid, $376,942, that's all we'll pay for the year. So the budget that we had for that was overstated So this amount that we have in there is what is reflective of the bids that the insurance is just, we'll be bringing forward on Thursday.
The 40,000 then is for all the elected employees on their security bonds?
Elected officials.
That's
Elected
what I said,
officials, yes.
Okay.
It's a one-time deal?
Every 4
Every 4
years.
years.
Every 4 years, okay, I was thinking it
Well,
was,
you know,
it
every-
was 0 last year. I didn't know if it was just for the new ones, or it just has to be renewed for
Yes.
everybody.
This, yeah.
It's
Takes it
everybody.
for the whole 4 years, yeah.
Of course, the highway department and the assessor, they're on an off 2-year basis. Okay.
Yeah.
We have to get them later.
Ms. Stinson, any further comments?
No, we had requested the position because we support the Board of Ed as well. We've added about 600 employees since our last hire, which was 2008, but we understand the constraints of the budget, so we accept the mayor's recommendation.
Make a motion to approve the mayor's recommendation.
Commissioner Peak, thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Jordan.
Mayor, with that many employees coming online, are we just gonna look at that like next year then and see if, okay, we're in a corner here and then we need that other employee, or is it you're gonna have part-time to pick up the slack there, or?
We'll just continue to look for efficiencies inside of the department and cross-train where we need to.
And then if we see this is beginning to be even more and more of a burden, we'll come back to you.
I appreciate your attitude.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
I was picking her attitude, not yours.
I got it. I understand. I appreciate her attitude as well.
Gentlemen, page 27, the finance office's portion of the budget. Mayor Burgess, your recommendation?
And the recommendation is $1,127,635, which is about a $20,000 or $30,000 decrease. You're going to notice some changes here, but I think Ms. Nolan can clarify something. Like, for example, 189, other salaries and wages, that money has been moved up and folded into line item 119. Is that correct?
Yes.
So that's why that increase is up there, all right? Of course, we have the normal increases that have occurred with the others, as we've already discussed on step raises, et cetera. State retirement is down, health insurance is up. Now, past that, I don't really believe there's any other substantial things that have changed. Would that be a fair assessment, Ms. Nolan?
Yes, sir.
At 709, is that you?
709 is me.
Data processing?
Data processing.
There's zero on that. I mean, she had a little bit last year,
I was
4,100.
looking back, yeah, I see her before, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I'll also make a motion to approve the mayor's recommendation.
Commissioner Peak, thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Jordan. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Mr. Beatty. Trustee will join us, and we need to be on page 33. Mayor Burgess, your recommendation,
Okay,
please.
$631,650. That's a $5,600 increase. Mr. Beatty needs to add a piece of data processing equipment that's going to cost $8,000. So that's the only change I think we have on this budget.
Mr. Beatty, would you like to speak to any part of that budget?
I accept the mayor's recommendation.
So what broke down?
That's actually software. Our system is 20-plus years old, and this would allow us to update software for tax collections and accounting and everything.
Motion to approve, Madam Chairman.
Commissioner Salmon, thank you.
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Peak. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Beatty, curious, how many people max out on the tax relief program from our standpoint? Just roughly, if you know of. Not many, are there?
Yeah, I mean, there's several that will get the you're talking about who gets the $306 match?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the most of them that we do would match because most of them's taxes are over the 450, that number. We've got over 200, well, I'm trying to think, we got over 2,000 on the freeze. We dropped that number back to about 1,600 on relief, and I'm just ballparking. Some of those are completely paid. The veterans and those are paid up to $175,000. That's different. So that puts us in I'm trying to think, probably 1,100, 1,200 or so that would probably use the total of the 306, maybe a little more than that. That program has grown quite a bit through the years, but we've kind of leveled out because we're not having to request any more money for that. But that's what that 550 is. That's the match portion of what we're doing.
And we're still the only entity in the state that offers more than what the state gives on tax relief for seniors.
We do 2 for 1 up to the 306. I believe Davidson County may have just this year gone to that, but prior to that, we were the only jurisdiction that did a 2 for 1 match.
And outside of Laverne, we're the only one that does senior tax relief.
Or the freeze. Smart. The relief is a state program in all of the counties and all of the cities, but most do not do any matches. Some will match so many dollars or 1 for 1. But I think us
in the county match.
Nobody else in the county, but the county. None of the cities match.
Just wanted to give you.
Thank you. Yeah, and we always tell people to be thankful because it does make a huge difference for our older folks and disabled. Huge.
Thank you, Mr. Beatty.
Thank you.
Our county clerk, Ms. Crowell, will join us. And gentlemen, we need to be on page 34. Mayor Burgess, your recommendation for the county clerk's portion of the budget, please?
Okay. $2,344,384, which is a $5,000 or $6,000 decrease. And you can look all the way down through here and you can see there's hardly any change to any of those line items. Postal charges is up $3,000. Data processing supplies is up $15,000, but she has revenue to offset that, so that's just an accounting entry there to be so that we can reflect that expenditure, but she does have revenues to support it. Office supplies, she's reduced $8,000, so you can see in office equipment, she's not asking but for $1,500 versus $13,300 last time, so it's a very good budget, a very effective, efficient budget request she's making.
Ms. Crowell, comments on your budget?
I accept the mayor's recommendation.
I'll make a motion to approve your budget.
I'll second it.
Commissioner P., seconded by Commissioner Schaefer.
It'll make life a lot easier for us if they keep coming up here like that. Thank you.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Thank you. Gentlemen, if you will go to page 19. And I'll ask Mr. Robertson and company to join us, please.
He brought back up.
And the first portion that we will deal with is the GIS budget. Mayor Burgess, your recommendation, please.
Oh, so GIS is first.
19.
Geographic
I
information.
get you.
5176.
Okay.
Page 19.
Well, it may be that-
Yes, page 19.
I'm glad he brought all of these support people with him because this one is, we iterated on this one at least internally 3 times or more, so it's very, very important, but sometimes difficult to understand all these moving pieces that we have within this technology and these changes, and et cetera. Anyway, the recommendation is $1,226,229. You can see that's all about a $70,000 to $80,000 increase, and we'll go through those, and I'm sure you may have some questions. We have asked and recommended that we get a a bit more money, $10,000 more for part-time personnel. Let's see, we move to a little bit further down. We don't really come to anything of any significant change until we get to 334 maintenance agreements. And that $330,000 is an increase over $242,000. And you may want some more information on that, but you may, if you ask questions, you may get more than you want out of that answer. But data processing equipment is up $21,000, and other capital outlays are down $50,000. So you can see the net increase of about $75,000 or so, which is not unreasonable for a budget that includes all of this. And let's see, the $350,000, I believe, Mr. Robertson and Ms.
Marlon.
Marlon, that is for the flyover, that $350,000. Is that correct?
That's right, and this is an off year, meaning the flight that we just did a couple weeks ago was an on year. Typically, you would see a larger drop than that in the off year. However, for reasons that Barbara can detail, we are wanting to pick up and needing to pick up LiDAR and contour and brake lines this year, but we still are able to bring that in at a $50,000 decrease over an on year.
Do we still get a contribution from CUD to help with this, so they can share it? Was this not what they have historically helped us out with? That may have just been on their own years, I don't know.
No, they help every year with $50,000, as does the Emergency Communications Board, the 911 Board.
City of Murfreesboro too. don't
City of Murfreesboro. We make, as of this morning, we had about $11,000 in map sales that offsets $11,000. Actually, we'll be over budget in revenue in that regard. So those are the pieces of revenue that relate to this budget.
It's always good to see entities working together instead of one of those others out duplicating the same service and spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we can all work together and everybody work as a team. And that's not something you find every day where like a CUD or something is working with the county. That I appreciate you working that out years ago, and it's a cost saving measure for everybody.
I guess we're $88,000 more in the maintenance agreements. What's the difference there, you said?
There's this is a renewal year for our maintenance agreement contract, and that it will be reimbursed at an amount we don't quite know exactly yet. It will be no less than it was in the prior years, but the City of Murfreesboro's deployment was great enough to cause me to raise that by that amount as an estimate for that maintenance agreement. That contract comes due in November. So we are currently working on the fine-tune numbers of that, but we think we're well within budget of $330,000, and we'll have the revenue contributions will be increased as well to cover a portion of that increase.
So it's basically your best estimate.
Best estimate.
What's the contract with Murfreesboro?
Pardon?
What's the contract do?
It's our software licensing, and it is actually with all of the entities, and they all contribute a portion of that percentage.
So everybody uses?
Everybody uses the same contract.
One thing, just a question on it, and this isn't out of the blue, just from what I've been reading. The use of drones, have y'all looked at that?
We have. We've looked at it.
I
quite
thought
a
you
bit.
might have, because, with this overflying, that's a possibility in the future, I know. Or how closely have you looked at it? Or is that what you're talking about, using it for?
We've looked at it very closely. I say very closely. I'll let Barbara pipe up if she'd like. We could do 30 minutes on this.
We don't
Certainly.
have that kind of time, no.
But yes, we looked at it very closely. We demoed demoed a unit, a UAV. They're called unmanned aerial vehicle, and flew and acquired some data. And we were very impressed that it might be able to offset some of the costs that we otherwise pay somebody else to acquire data for, particularly in strategic high growth areas. We also organized a meeting with the MTSU Aerospace Department and the utility districts and City of Murfreesboro, the Geosciences Department at MTSU, we all got together and had a detailed discussion about each of our positions on UAV and what they could do for us. Our most recent discussion was one in which the county could perhaps explore the idea of utilizing the business aerospace program to do some of the flights. We've quickly found that we were bogged down in a protracted application process with the FAA that may ultimately result in utter failure due to really just some, I don't know, indecision on the FAA part as to how far to go in allowing or restricting these things. So we were kind of thinking about using the MTSU Aerospace Department to actually do some of the flights for us. And we might even be a scenario where we buy a unit and then put it under the control of the Aerospace Department. And they were extremely eager to discuss a partnership in that regard.
Well, I know there's actually some litigation out there right now on the use of them in different parts of the country. So that's what you're pertaining to, I know. But, they're also used in search and rescue. This is not Big Brother out trying to do. We're looking at drainage ditches, make sure the water's flowing in the right direction, things like that. So I don't want people to think that, we want to see what you're hanging on your laundry line. That's not what this is all about, so.
Right.
But anyway, thank you for your comments on that.
We bought a small $800 unit. You might have seen in the newspaper. It's basically a flying camera, and have been able to experiment with that and learn some things. And it's caused us to look at our policy and procedures as well. Because even with a small unit like that, you can open yourself up to liability and other things. So we were able to run it through insurance and so forth at a low cost of $800 instead of $35,000 to $100,000 that we see in the other units we've evaluated.
I'll make one more comment. We do have a couple items in this budget that are listed under 709 that will set us up either whether we continue to fly contracted services or whether we want to use the drone that will allow us to do in-house data manipulation based on whichever path we choose. So,
well, that's what I was looking for in the future, and I was hoping to see a reduction. It's always irked me or whatever that we're paying that much money for an overflight, and it's just, that's a lot of money for somebody flying around taking a picture. But of course, there's a lot more to it than that. But anyway, thank you.
There's going to be pictures you can use and not just look at.
Well, that's true.
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Jordan,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Peach. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We will now move to page 36. And this is the data processing portion of the budget. Mayor Burgess, your recommendation?
$2,850,777, and that is about a 200 and, I may be off a little bit there, $270,000 increase. So let's review some of this, some of these reasons for that. There is an additional person up there in that 121 data processing personnel. In that, when we talked about the mayor's budget previously, that one position, we've already given it over to even this current fiscal year, but that's the primary reason that increase is there, that new position is there that we've transferred over. Let's see, insurance is up $10,000. Communication is up 15, and you may want to come back and ask some questions about some of these line items. Data processing services is down $20,000. Maintenance agreements, again, they're up substantially, that's about $82,000 increase, and Barbara and Brian may want to visit that. Data processing equipment is up about $50,000, and $790 line item other equipment. That $77,000 is largely to upgrade the lighting and the cameras and the video server that's supporting us in the commission meeting room, the courtroom. So that's the recommendation, and if you have some questions, they may want to address maintenance agreements, data process equipment. This is a whole complicated array of things that are included in some of these items here. But we can let Brian address those and his team of support that he has with him.
The 77,000 upgrade the stuff in the big room, I mean, is that because our stuff in there is outdated, or are we having a problem actually making it work? Because, you know, I don't watch it, but I take it the quality's decent. I mean,
Pretty well. Yes, as it pertains to the lighting, that is the lighting that we very first put in 2001 or so. Bulbs have blown, and you might remember stuff fell on the carpet even one time. The lighting needs to be updated very badly. That's studio lighting that wasn't ever designed to be in this type of setting. So, and some of the modern LED lighting is phenomenal. It should give us a better product. Sorry to say daylight and dark. Should be a much better video product, particularly on close-ups in that room. The cameras themselves, this would replace the cameras at the Board of Education and over there, and make them be similar to these cameras in that they would be HD capable. Although we can't broadcast in HD due to franchise agreement limitations, we are able to broadcast in HD on our YouTube live channel, which is getting more and more activity. And you don't have to have Comcast or AT&T Uverse in order to see this meeting and other meetings if you can get to YouTube.
and you can go back and see it at any time.
Yes, yes. And standard definition, you might even notice that this meeting does not look as good, looks better, than the county commission meetings, and that is because we updated these cameras last year. So they're aging cameras, and it's time for replacement. And so Lee Harris, our communications manager, requested that. Particularly concerned about it at the Board of Education, where they are completely upgrading their audio system there as well. And so we don't want to be the weak link. They're footing that they're doing that within their budget, and we would like the cameras to be upgraded as well, so that will stay in sync.
What about over at planning? Will this change any of the equipment we use when we meet over there?
No, sir, this will not.
That's where we need it.
Yes, we still.
I'd say to spend $77,000, for something that's already getting done. But I realize this stuff is 11 to 12 years old. Some of it is and needs to be updated. But
Yes, sir, and a chunk of that is to replace a video server from 2006 that houses this data as it comes in. A large part of that is for that video server, and that's one of those things that if it crashes, it's out of service, it's end of life type of thing. That's $18,000 of that is the video server. So it's not just the cameras, it's 3 or 4 components there.
Will you be able to utilize if we approve this, the cameras that are coming out, could you utilize them in other places, for instance, the planning department over there? Or if you get,
That is
I know
different.
You don't have any cameras over there.
That's a different setup. We set up tripods, unfortunately, over there, and those cameras are very good quality. As far as what we'll salvage these cameras for, I'm not sure. I don't know if we'll get a trade-in value on those or not, Commissioner.
they could be made available to a school or something like that needed them. Or if we do take them, we'll at least have the possibility of wherever there's something, even video cameras at a
Yes.
detention center or something like that. We're not going to throw them away.
No.
We're going to give any county department opportunity to them, before they just get stuck on a shelf somewhere.
Yes, through the surplus process. If Lee didn't have another plan for him, he may have another plan for him that he hasn't mentioned to me. But yes, we would surplus and make them available. Certainly would.
Since Channel 19 isn't in high definition, would we really be able to see the difference even if we got better cameras?
In standard definition, we could give a highly technical answer to that, more technical than I'm capable of answering. But the lighting on the more recent digital cameras, their ability to process the light is substantially superior to the previous lighting. So even on a standard definition old school television, I would expect that it would look a bit better. But the main advantage that it's going to take is when you're watching the HD product. It's going to look far better.
Yeah, I guess without Channel 19 being high definition, then it's not going to make too big a difference. I think there's a lot of us up here who don't know a lot about this technology, but we know about we've probably seen the videos on YouTube of various county government meetings, and we know what the lighting's like in there. I guess if we get down to the very end and we need $77,000, we could probably get by for another year with our current lighting and the imperfect picture on Channel 19. It doesn't really bother me.
Yes, I would say a large percentage of that is a quality thing. Cameras aren't real volatile. They're not likely to crash, so the age of them is not extremely concerning. And I wish Lee were here to answer that better. It's at some point you want all of your gear to be at the same level, and when components are from previous generations, it really drags down the whole thing. Now that's a very general way for me to say that. And keep in mind the video server is a volatile piece of equipment that is end of life. That's 18,000 of that 77,000. So if it did get down to the nitty gritty, I would try to keep that 18,000 in there at least to replace that server, so that because that would be dead in the water. That's not just a quality thing. Yes, sir.
Again, over on maintenance agreement, about 82,000 there, I guess. What's same situation on the maintenance agreements in 334?
Really, it's 100, in 2 years, it's up 190,000.
Yes.
So
yes.
This well, I noticed your request was 300, and I guess the mayor knocked it down $50,000, which I'm wondering, maintenance agreements or maintenance agreements, how did you adjust from there?
Okay, so Barbara's 334 is ESRI, and they're kind of the Microsoft of GIS. This is the Microsoft line item that covers all of the licensing for all county employees across the county. Darren, go ahead and explain what's going on there.
Basically, what the 334 does is it pays the enterprise agreement that we have with Microsoft. And one part of that, a huge part of that, a large part of that is the SQL maintenance, our SQL database server licenses. Circuit Court and EMS recently, in the last, 2 years? Last year, moved to a SQL server and upgraded their SQL Server to EMS. And they made the initial investment of paying the first year's cost on those, on the agreements. And we're trying to bring that from their separate line items under one agreement so that it's easy to track and we can keep up with it better. That's why it's kind of been moved under us.
Otherwise, you would have seen it in the EMS and Circuit Court line item.
And the Circuit Courts was 98,000 and EMS's was 10,000. So it just kind of would.
So it's going to reflect that in their budgets then, that's going to happen.
No, we're taking care of that in this budget.
That's what I know, but I mean,
yeah.
You won't see that.
There are big reductions in their budget. In theirs.
Well, they didn't have, Circuit Court didn't have these things, did they, in their previous budget? This is all part of this new business.
In 2013, 2014, it was reflected in their budget, but in this budget preparation this year, they did not include that because the plan was to incorporate that into our budget. Yes.
But it was new to their budget even last year. Is that current year?
New the current year.
Current year.
Yes. Yes. Darren, carry on. It's not just that though with the G2,
No,
G3.
we're also moving 150 users from G2 to G3 licenses. That's about 28,000. As we got more and more users up to speed, so to speak, on their software, we realized that we found that there were more users that needed more robust software than what we initially thought. And so we're trying to get licensing to reflect that, and that's about that's about 28,000 more.
So
$20 times
28 and
7 years,
10,000 is 38,000.
Mhm.
And this year we're going up 80,000. Is that
And
just?
98,000 for circuit
Well,
court.
but that was in last year's, is what they said.
Not on this
Not on our
last year.
budget. It was
Oh.
on their
It was on theirs last year.
Okay.
circuit
What
court
they-
last year.
First you buy the computer, then you buy the software, then you buy the maintenance agreement, then you update the software. It just, and by then the computer's outdated, so you get another one. I mean, it's just an absolute money pit, but it's a necessity.
And I would dare say this would be, if these costs were just spread out across all departments, onesies, twosies, this cost would be considerably higher than this if this were not off the state of Tennessee. This is all, every penny of this is off state of Tennessee contract with Microsoft. It's part of their master enterprise license agreement. And again, you'd see bigger costs across all departments if you added it all together. So we sort of look bad as we attempt to take care of all the county's needs.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the budget as presented, but I will tell you right now, if we get in our final meeting setting the tax rate and we're short, that's one of the places I'm gonna look for, say 60,000 right there, because that would get you your server, but not the other, because, you know, like I said about the step increases earlier, we need to be, I'm gonna be making a little list over here of stuff. If we get down a penny away or something, we may have to pull money here and there, so, but I'll make a motion to approve it this time.
Thank you, Commissioner Jordan.
Second
Seconded
motion.
by Commissioner Bond. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Does that take care of everything that, for you?
Thank you,
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Gentlemen, page 44,
No more money on the table. Gotta go.
and Mr. Bratcher will join us.
Make a change.
And before Mayor Burgess gives his recommendation, on our worksheet, our finance director needs to give us a corrected total.
The corrected total is 974,621, and this is a correction that I missed from the HR department.
Chancellor Record, Mayor Burgess, your recommendation, please.
Okay, well, she just told us it's $974,621. That's a recommendation. I will make a few notes, and Mr. Bratcher, I'm sure, will have a few comments. He requested an additional position in line item 106, and coupled with that, he did suggest reducing his part-time. This would be an elevation of the part-time to a full-time position, so that was, but I have left my recommendation is to include the part-time number and not move that person to a full-time position. All right, so you can see that difference there. Of course, again, the insurance is up $13,000. Data processing services is up a bit, and I don't remember that, but he can probably address that as well. Probably some of the similar discussion we've just been having.
Mayor, you're saying leave the part-time, not put the full-time person.
That's my recommendation.
Okay.
Mr. Bratcher has made a very passionate, professional request for that, and we can let him address that. Office supplies is up $6,000, but that's just, he's got to purchase microfilm this year. I think the work that they've been doing previously, they didn't actually charge the departments, but they're going to actually start charging these departments, or they're going to have to supply their microfilm. So that's the two or three significant changes. Otherwise, he's got a very efficient request and hasn't made any changes that are of any real consequence.
Well, the data processing changes are there. We have a imaging system that we installed a couple of years ago that helps us to eliminate what are called our minute books, which are basically the old leather-bound red books that have 500 pages in them. And those books they're nice red leather with my name in gold. They really look good. And I hated to give them up, but we are now putting those we are imaging those, and we save about $80 a book for the book and $54 for the paper, and not to mention the space that these books take up. So the next gen there is the next generation from our vendor, which will improve our ability to do that. And then the items with regard to e-filing, $3,000 interface, and that's tied with e-filing development. Our vendor, we're looking at a e-filing process where we'll use a outside or a third vendor, and we think that will take about $7,000 in development for that, and then this interface with our current vendor, which is local government data processing. So that's about $10,000, and then we are setting up the ability to be able to take payments for court costs, more importantly perhaps taxes, delinquent taxes. As you know, we collect for the county in Murfreesboro, Smyrna, and Laverne, and we are literally collecting tens of thousands of dollars by credit card, over the internet, by telephone. So it's just it's to enhance that ability to take those payments. We've been a little bit behind, and we were really catching up.
It's all this you mentioned, that underlying 317.
Yes, sir, that's
Processing
317.
services.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. So.
Make sure we wasn't
these are
moving
just-
around.
Yeah, no, this is all the same, that's all in
They didn't have that much
317.
detail, I mean, so, that's
Yeah,
okay. He's
but
explaining.
it's basically to enhance our ability to use technology to improve our services, and as I said, people are taking advantage of it. We had one fellow last year, I don't know if you've heard this story or not, but I had one fellow last year that was taking a motorcycle trip across Australia, and for some reason he just remembered that he owed delinquent taxes and decided to use his telephone to pay them, and paid $2,200 from somewhere in the outback, and
We'll take it from anywhere.
we'll take it from anywhere, but it's literally, we're talking about tens of thousands of dollars that we're collecting that way. So, and that's just going to, and you can see the trend just going up. Not to mention thousands of phone calls. Probably, we've got documented probably 9,500 hits so far this year, which a huge percentage of those would be telephone calls that we'd be dealing with when people come in and want to call and check their taxes. Now they can just do it. They can do it online. We did that in cooperation with Tab Beatty and the same vendor he's been using. So we're trying to.
So what was you going to
improve that.
reduce in part-time personnel to pull that into what was the difference?
Well,
there? Just
what
the
we
difference
were
of the-
doing, what I had asked when Mr. Burgess and Ms. Nolan and I had our conversation about that, I asked to move a part-time person who's doing about 28 hours per week to a full-time person. All of my deputies have college degrees, exception of one who has about 35 years of experience, and that includes my part-time people. And the lady that we had asked to move to a full-time position has been with us approximately 3 years and has taken the lead in imaging, the imaging processes that we're using. She's also coordinating with Ms. Dahlbarn as well as OIT and our computer vendor to go back and image 552 of those books that I was talking about, which is times 1,000 pages. And she's the one that's taken responsibility for doing that. So she's actually doing a full-time job. So we had proposed that we reduce part-time to make it about a full-time position.
So you going with the recommendation, you leaving that alone, or you sticking with it? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Well, certainly we want to work with the mayor and Ms. Nolan and certainly with the commission and so forth. If it's not approved this year, I'm a little bit concerned we might lose this person. Ms. Bowen has already stolen one of our part-timers for one of her full-time staff, people in the circuit court clerk's office. So if it's not approved this year, I'll come back next year very strong as well. So that's what I would prefer to do.
What's the difference in the money we're talking about?
Well, 38,000 less 16 is about 20,000 plus the health insurance and the other benefits.
That's correct.
And if they turn around 50% of salary nowadays?
Yes.
So-
I mean, it could be $40,000 net. I mean, I may be off a little bit, but in that range.
How many new positions have you recommended?
One.
But you're giving one up
Oh,
to
yeah,
another
yeah,
department, so really net zero.
Net,
Juvenile.
yeah.
Position.
Oh, excuse me, I wasn't there yet. Just one so far, but there is one that we're gonna give up in juvenile, so it'll be a net zero.
But
So far.
You know, we gave one though to OIT.
But I reduced
No,
one.
he moved the position from the mayor's office to
there.
OIT.
Just move that position over.
Yeah, but then we gave one to buildings.
That's-
But we're also going to be giving up one that you haven't
So we're
heard
zero.
about
Right.
yet.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying, we're going net
We
zero.
weren't counting this one.
No, you can count
Okay.
that.
I can sympathize with Mr. Bratcher's situation, and I feel sure that every department head can come up here and want a little more than what made through the mayor's red pen. And, but I believe we're already talking about cutting, the possibility of cutting step increases, the possibility of cutting some of the data processing stuff from Mr. Robertson's department. So with that, I'll make a motion to approve the mayor's recommendation.
I'll second.
Commissioner
With the
Jordan.
adjustment.
With the corrected
adjustment.
number.
97,4,621.
Mhm.
And we'll do our best to remember
Thank you.
next year.
I appreciate it.
In
I
my
hope I
opinion,
don't
at least
lose
I'll
another
say
one.
that. I can't
I'll
speak
give you
for
a
everybody else.
report.
Yeah. You'll remind us, I feel sure.
Play it back to you on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In high definition, maybe.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Mr. Bradford.
Thank you. I appreciate your guys' consideration of my request. And appreciate all the support I've gotten from everybody. I realize not everybody's going to be here next year, but I always felt like I was respected and appreciated here. I've been doing this for 21 years. 22 is going to come up around in October, so I just want to say I do appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
I won't be voting on your budget next year.
You won't say no.
I won't be there. I got you by a couple of years.
Gentlemen, if
Thank
you
you.
will locate page 90, we're ready for Mrs. Shacklet to join us, and she is representing Linebaugh Library. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for making the accommodations for me.
Mayor Burgess, your recommendation, please.
Okay, $1,293,500. Mrs. Shacklet asked us for about $120,000 increase, which was about 9.6%. But anyway, this is roughly a little less than 5% increase. $60,000 increase is what I'm recommending. And I'm sure and believe that they need more, but that's all I have been able to recommend.
Ms. Shackley, any comments from you to your budget?
No, I do understand where the mayor and Ms. Nolan are coming from. We certainly, I can't imagine doing what you gentlemen do and ladies. We are facing what we believe to be quite extensive increase on our health insurance. We are funded through the library board. We have to fund our own insurance, and our renewal date is not until August 1st, so we won't have firm numbers and probably until the end of this month. And they have told us to plan on at least a 40% increase, if not more.
Oh, my goodness.
And so, and the plan that we have currently is probably going to go away. So we're looking at staff who, we have about 50% or more of our staff, this is their only income, and we have people living off $20,000 a year. So, and we have about 33 full-time, and over half of those, that's their only income. So we're trying to provide as best we can, but it's difficult. So, and they do a lot of hard work. I mean, I've sat and listened as I've listened to the other departments, and you know, we face the same thing with technology. Our use of computers is just going up and up. We have over 130 computers system-wide. We still have some on XP. So we have not upgraded some of those since 2005 and 2008. So we are now forced to do that. We've had to replace a server for our automation system last year that cost us $32,000 because it's not your average server. So, you know, keeping up with software because as I learned at a conference a couple of weeks ago, over 40% of the United States still do not have internet in their homes or computers in their home. That's a lot of people.
Wow.
And so they come to us to apply for jobs, to take tests online. You can't do that on a smartphone.
Yeah.
And so we're their only source. So trying to keep up and ahead of technology for the general public. So we just appreciate anything that you can do.
Motion to approve the report. I mean, the budget.
Thank you, Commissioner Sandlin.
I'll second.
Seconded from Commissioner Petty. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Okay, that completes our agenda for our first night of working on our proposed budget. Gentlemen, at the bottom of our agenda, a couple of reminders. We will continue with the general fund as well as some other departments on Monday, May 19th at 5:30, and then again on Wednesday, May 21st at 5:30. But be aware of this next one, please. The following week, on Tuesday, May 27th, we have our joint meeting with the Health and Ed Committee at the central office, and that is at 4:30. So heads up about that meeting. Anything else that needs to come before our committee this evening? Thank you, gentlemen. We are adjourned.